This video will cover Indirekte and Direkte Rede, which forms part of the Afrikaans language syllabus. When looking at Indirekte and Direkte Rede, they can ask you to go from one way to the other or vice versa. So they can give you an Indirekte Rede sentence. You have to change it into the Direkte Rede sentence. But more commonly, they'll give you the Direkte Rede sentence and you must change it into the Indirekte Rede sentence. So there are a couple of options which will determine what we do with the sentence. So if we get a stalson, which is just an ordinary full stop sentence, nothing, no tricks about it. In the place of the colon, so there will obviously be the colon from the Direkte Rede sentence, which will introduce the person's words. We put a dot, so we put a dot in place of the colon. Quotation marks obviously fall away, that's just a general rule. Your verb 1 moves to the end. I've put your have for het, is, was, word. If it's one of these verbs, they go right to the end of the sentence. Please note the Peter Black rule still applies. If you have a helping verb, it still goes in front of verb 2, etc. And your pronouns obviously also change. So if a girl says, I want ice cream, you won't say the girl said, I want ice cream. You'll say the girl said that she wanted ice cream. So it's just a simple pronoun change to make the sentence make sense. Then if you're given a question and the question starts with the helping verb, the verb moves to the end. And just note, guys, people get confused. You don't put a ch to these verbs when they move to the end. Pronouns also change to make it make sense. And now, instead of putting a dot in place of the colon, you put a of in place of the colon. Then a second sort of option within your vraagsin or your question is if it starts with a question word. So if it starts with wanneer, then you don't put in an of. And obviously, because you're not starting with that help fact word, you use that question word in the sentence. And then your verb moves to the end of the sentence. And then if you're given a command sentence, obviously it'll be like James say vir John dat, hey, and then time, object, manner, place, and then remember to insert that moet before your verb. Still your verb's moving to the end, etc. Then if you get an uitroepsin, that is a feeling command. So that's where it's given a feeling word, and what I mean by feeling word is these over here. I'll get into more detail now. The dot after the feeling word gets replaced. See the list below, I'll go into that now. Pronoun changes always just to make it make sense, how the sentence makes sense. Verb still moves to the end. So what I mean by your feeling word is your original Direkte Rede sentence will have things such as sis toch, eina, mooi so, sterkte, nee, ja. And all you have to do is change it into this. However, this is not commonly asked, so you don't need to worry about it too much. But if, let's say the person says sis, then you must say, James sê met afkeuring dat. Or James sê met pyn dat. James sê met trots dat. And this is just a list of how the words change. I'll zoom in now so you can pause the video and take those down if you want. And then our last sort of form that we need to worry about is a versoek, which is a request. Dat in place of the colon, as usual, verb moves to the end. But then there's a special type of it with the pronoun and then the request word. If the word asseblief is in the sentence, which will most likely be in the sentence for a friendly request, then you'll say asseblief, rest of your sentence, moet before your verb, which is now moved to the end of the sentence. That concludes the video on Direkte and Indirekte Rede.